there was a Your Forger that I saw that I really wanted to get a picture of for all the wrong reasons. But just want to shout out that girl. You're doing it right.
Hello and welcome to another Dead Pixel. We're a podcast about video games, anime, entertainment, life, a little bit of everything in between. I'm your host as always, Joe, and with me, the gentleman who realizes he's an adult, so he's allowed to have Oreos for breakfast. Nick, how you doing, Nick?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, I can have Oreos for breakfast. I do think that, um, Oreo cereal is better. I just like milk. Um, but yeah, I mean, Oreos are just kind of dry by themselves, and in the morning, my I don't know about you, but my mouth usually is fairly dry. I usually drink like whole 16 ounces or more of water, before I even brush my teeth. I think it's a good way to start the day, but yeah, Oreos and milk right after that. So, um, yeah, I haven't
After
had an
you brush your
Oreo in
teeth?
a while though. I'm sorry, what?
I said the words you literally said were like, brush my teeth, and then I have the Oreos and milk after that.
It's the mint fluoride really brings out the flavor of the Oreo. I think that like the Oreo filling and the Crest, toothpaste probably come off of the same line. So there's a lot of crossover there. It's not breaking news or anything like that, but it's like just a conspiracy theory that I have. How are you, Joe?
Doing all right. Isn't that one of the pranks to play they used to be? Is like you take the Oreo cookie, you take out the filling, put toothpaste in it, put them back, and then let people have at it.
Oh,
Uh,
oh, that would be horrible. You wouldn't
it's like
realize it until you'd
it's like
swallowed
right up
some.
there. It's like right up there when you have milk, or and then you accidentally drink like a Mountain Dew, or vice versa. You're thinking you have one
Oh,
thing, and then you actually have another. It's like the most jarring
I,
reaction.
I recently had that where I think that I thought I was drinking a soda and but I hadn't looked and I grabbed and I was actually water and I was like, oh yeah, it's just, okay, it's just water. But it was like, it's one of those things where you, you don't realize how much you mentally prepare based off of sight or what you think that you're about to imbibe or eat. And yeah, it's just it's a very weird place to be.
Yeah, my it's funny because I my good buddy happened to at a low point in their life start their day off with a one of those giant pack of Oreos, and they cleared at least a row, or if not two, and they had told me about it. I'm like, so I never let them live that down since.
Bro,
Um,
you're just keeping them. I mean, what is that called? You're just their accountability partner. You into their sleeve of Oreos like that one time? No. Okay, just making sure.
no, literally, I was just like, I was like, we bought some Oreos from Costco, but they're not for breakfast; they're for the evening. You know,
Oh gosh, you can't tell you anything, man. You can't tell you anything. You're gonna use it against. Yeah, you're gonna use it against
well, to be fair,
anybody.
I if they were ever to read real books, they would have probably read The Outsiders as a kid, and they would have realized Pony Boy and the rest of them, like their thing was like the three brothers who live on their own make a fresh chocolate cake to have in the house at any given time, and
Forgot about
that's
that.
their thing. It's just like, yeah, it's just one of those things like you realize you're an adult, you're allowed to have cake, in the morning, and no one's there to stop you. I mean, you should be stopped, but no one's there to stop you.
You're
Yeah.
supposed to stop yourself, but like there are a lot of people that I don't know. Whenever I eat a lot of a gross food, I I feel like I at least tell myself like that was gross. Don't do that again. At least not for a while. But some people don't have that filter. They don't really they don't really think about it as gross. But like Oreos, cake, McDonald's, potato chips, Bugles, Mountain Dew. That's gross food. Like I understand that it tastes good. I understand that everybody has it every once in a while, but like you need to have trigger inside of your brain and or body that reprimands you if you just literally gorge on a whole bunch of that. And whatever a whole bunch is kind of up to you, but I feel like more than 3 servings and you need to question where you are in your life.
Yeah, it's also kind of you learn a lot about somebody whether or not they were uh, how they grew up because if they were denied access to a lot of things as a kid, then you can kind of see how they turn out because of it. 'Cause usually it's a rebellion thing, you know. It's like if they're denied sugar, if they're
I'm
denied
sitting right
candy, and
here,
then also the
Joe.
moment,
Like this
yeah,
whole thing, this whole animated video games thing is I wasn't necessarily denied those things, but there was a lot of that stuff that either through poverty or just general upbringing. There's a lot of stuff where I was like, man, I wish I could engage with that and wasn't able to. So
yeah. But I actually had to explain to my youngest who had an existential moment, but like, I don't want to grow up, and I'm like, there's a lot of like, oh, I don't want to grow old. I'm like, how old is old to you, child? You know, like, and then
10.
I started, yeah, exactly. I'm like, it's exactly like, is it 10? Is it this? Like you can start like when it's like, there's a lot of fun stuff to do. I'm like, and like as an adult, you could have cookies in the breakfast for breakfast if you want to. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, that's what like you can do that. They're like, that's crazy. I'm like, but at the same time, I'm like, how old is old? Seriously. Like, are you talking about grandma and grandpa? Are you talking about they couldn't quite figure what they wanted. They just didn't want it. And I'm like, okay, uh,
Hmm.
well, at least we don't have a mark, you know. It's just like, but then I had to explain to my eldest, who's like, didn't know how the average lifespan was. I'm like, oh great, now I get to have this conversation.
Yeah, yeah, that would be kind of a tough one. That just makes me think of that meme. I forget what movie it's actually from, but the the little boy looks up at the dad, and the little boy says, "Dad, when I grow up, can I buy all the video games I want?" And then the next frame is it's Johnny Depp as the dad, and he says yes. And then the next frame after that, he hugs the boy's head, and he says, "But you won't have time to play them." It's like it's like you can have the cookies if you want for breakfast, but your doctor will tell you no.
Yeah,
uh,
it's without a doubt. But all right, since we are a podcast about video games, why don't we actually talk about some video games? So, Nick, what have you been playing?
all right, so I've been playing a little game called Saros. This is a game from developer House Marquee. I think it was published by PlayStation Studios. I think they're heavily involved at the very least. This is a third person rogue like action shooter. House Marquee, same people that made Returnal, which I did not play. Um, that was from I think 2021, one of the kind of early PS5 games, kind of a breakout thing for for the PS5. Sort of came out of nowhere. People liked it a lot, and yeah, so so the story of this game is it's a science fiction, and you are part of a small team called Echelon 4 that has been sent to this planet to mine leucinite, which is the made up mineral. And since you're Echelon 4, there are 3 echelons, 3 expeditions that have gone in front of you. And so I don't actually remember how the game. I remember how the game starts, but I don't remember like. I think things don't really unravel right away, but basically this game is it feels a lot like Doom in certain ways, and it also kind of looks a little bit like Doom and a little bit like Alien and a little bit and then a lot of the kind of the stuff reminds me of Event Horizon. Not one for one, but there's a vibe. There's like a Event Horizon kind of vibe that you can get from like the jump, just like immediately. Yeah, so you're part of this expeditionary force that is, I think your whole purpose is to figure out why echelons 1, 2, and 3 have not contacted Earth or anything like that. And so you get there and you find that there's nobody there. There's like literally like there is like that there's nobody from echelon 1, 2, or 3. As you progress through the game, you do find, kind of spoiler there, but you do find remnants, and they kind of just add to the mystery of like what's going on. I think that's probably all you need to know for this for the story for this. But the story is pretty good. I think the acting is pretty good. There's the story is told through the roguelike things where you die and you come back and you die and you come back and you kind of gain a little bit more or whatever. And it's pretty compelling. They kind of give you just enough interspersed between gameplay, and the mystery is pretty all right. And then I think getting to what's good about this game. The shooting is good. The shooting is nice. The guns feel good. Movement feels pretty good, and it has some pretty not I wouldn't say groundbreaking. And I don't know how much these systems are like Returnal. I didn't play Returnal, but the systems are pretty interesting, and I have wanted to use them and tried to use them for a good bit. And then the graphics are great. It looks nice. I had some, so I am playing on PS5 Pro. I don't remember ever switching it over to frame rate mode or whatever, so I guess I could check that. I didn't really have any frame rate problems until fairly recently, and at first I never had them in combat, and then there's been a couple combat spots where I have had them. I don't really know why. I think it might have just been that spot or that spot with too many enemies or whatever. There's a lot of projectiles that go out. So, if you have a lot of enemies and a lot of projectiles and you're trying to move fast, it can get a little bit, I can see how it would get a little bit hairy on the system. But overall it's performed, pretty well. I think that is pretty much all I can say about it that is good. There's probably something else that I could get into that's good, but I'll if I think of it, I'll go into that later. So, all right. So this game on how long to beat is around 20 hours for your first playthrough. 27 or 29-ish or whatever for the 100% completion. I am 29 hours into this game, and I think that I am about 80% done. I've probably done quite a bit of extras, to be honest, through some of the repetitive things I've had to do. But I should be well over 100% in this game if it was if things had gone right. So there's several biomes. I got to the first biome without too much trouble. I died like once. Had to go back and do it again and beat the boss after that. Second biome is kind of like a checkpoint, so you can warp back into there. And I cleared through most of that and kind of got to the final boss, and then just kept teleporting. Died to the second biome boss over and over again. Kept teleporting in, going through the stuff, and just dying just because I was, I don't know, too weak or whatever. I did that for probably, a run of that would probably take, 30 minutes or so. I think I probably spent 3 hours doing that. Just maybe just 2 hours before I got tired of it. So I was like, okay. And I was like, well, all right. And so I got on Reddit and I was like, okay, how do you get past the second, biome? People were like, well, what you need to do is you need to start at the very beginning of the game, which takes about 35 minutes, 30 or so minutes to beat the first part of the game. So basically, I was having to go, do about, not quite an hour long run to get back to the second boss, maybe about 50 or 45 minutes. And so when I figured that out, or when I heard that, I rolled my eyes and I was like, okay, because I'd already wasted a bunch of time and I was running out of room on the skill tree. This game has a skill tree, which is part of their permanent progression system, which I find ironic that they would have something like that. Anyway, so long story short, I get through this second biome and I blow through the third. The third is kind of split up a little bit and I blow through that, beat the boss of that, in one go. And then I get to the fourth biome, get to the boss of that, get trash canned, and I proceed to spend probably, I don't know, 6 or so hours, 6-7 hours probably trying to get through the boss of biome 4, or I guess biome 4. And I get fed up with it and I go back online and I find out some things that do not make me happy. So I had been playing this game the way that I believed that the developers wanted me to play it. So when the developers show you a new, like a system, say for example, the shield system, I expect that I would need to use that to get through the game. And then there's also a parry system that they introduce, around this time of the fourth biome. And so I'm like, okay, so I probably need to use that. And fighting this boss in the fourth biome, I just kept getting just trash can. I get kind of close. I got to like this third phase with third and final form. And then I just wouldn't have enough health left and I would just get destroyed. That is not that big of a problem. But the problem is that like for the fourth biome, the minimum amount of time that I was able to get back to that boss with and have a reasonable chance of beating it with enough power-ups and stuff that you gain is like 35 minutes, like almost on the dot. It was 35 minutes like every time. So to have to go through over half an hour just to get back to the place where you're pretty sure you're going to die again became extremely frustrating. I started further back. I started from the very beginning of the game pretty much and went through and gained a lot of power, still died. And after I did that, I was pretty furious and this was the second time. The first time that I thought about this was on the second biome, but this is the second time that I seriously thought about just putting the game away because there's several other games that I would really like to play that are out right now. But I stuck with it and I got back on Reddit and there was that people are just saying, well, start earlier and, get your build and you have to get your build right and stuff like that. And I was like, okay. And then somebody posted this video. I think, it's from a Japanese streamer. I don't know if you call him a pro game player or whatever, but he has like a no-hit run of each of the bosses for this game. His name is Ebigon, Ebigon. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to look and see what this guy does. Like, I was like kind of doing it for entertainment. I was like, this is going to be cool. I'm sure I won't be able to do this because this guy's a pro gamer and he'll just use all kinds of crazy stuff. But what caught my attention is the person that posted it said that Ebigon doesn't use shield or parry. All he does is dodge and shoot. And I was like, what? How is that possible? So I wanted to see it. And turns out, it's possible, and it's not even that hard. It's not even that it's not that hard. It's that it's pretty much the way that you're supposed to beat these bosses. So I was like, I'm going to just try one more run. And so without going all the way back further, going back further than the minimum, I just went through the minimum, just in that zone 4. got the power ups that were there, and I got to the boss. And I was like, I didn't even have 2 lives. It gives you like a revive, um, and I'd already lost that, and so I was like, well, I'll just see what I can do, and I I got to the boss and I did pretty much exactly what that guy did and beat him on that one try. Um, I and yeah, so I've gone a lot further. I think I'm probably I blew through the next biome. I had to turn it off on the biome after that. I think I'm probably 80, 85% of the way through the game, maybe 90. I'm not quite sure. There's not too much of the game left, but I haven't had a chance to get back to it since then. Um, I really, really, really that I really hate this game. There's a lot of really great things about this game, but the places that I've gotten stuck, I feel like I don't know. Like I guess I'm an idiot because there's a lot of people who are able to get through this game in 17 hours in like one run. I I feel like the game misleads you by having you do like showing you these things that you're supposed to do, like the shield and the parry, and then you're just not supposed to like. It's not even that you're not supposed to use it or there's like some kind of like cheat to get around a boss like easier. It's that like using those things actively makes the bosses harder, and um I I just I find that to be incredibly egregious, and I feel like I know I've wasted at least 10 hours on this game. Like there are 10 hours of wasted time that has been on this game, and it's pretty infuriating. But yeah, so my score right now for it is sitting at a 5 out of 10 because it has made me so mad. But like I would say that like without those things, it's probably like a 7 or something like that. But I just cannot like personally, I just cannot give it more than a 5 because it's made me so angry. And I'll have to probably revise it later. But I just once I beat it and calm down a bit. But right now it's just I just when I figured out like when I read and watched what people were doing, I was like, I can't believe that the developers that they like did this, you know. Um,
Okay,
so
so I'm gonna say this. It sounds like you're your own worst enemy on this front. Uh, and the fact that you find it funny or like the weird that there's a permanent progression system in a roguelike, which has been the case for a very long time in these games.
it's not that there
So
is a permanent progression system. It's that they coined that term. They like call it like so basically so you won't get stuck. We have this permanent progression system. Just I just find that ironic.
it's been around since like Rogue Legacy and even before that, but it's just like even Hades and stuff like that. So it's having the progression system, it kind of makes a roguelite tolerable. It's that way you some it makes the following runs a little bit easier. You are getting better skill, like you're getting more skilled as a player, but at the same time, and it's making it a little easier because you have more cushion, more stats, more depending on the game that is, just more things to do. But also it helps you actually feel like you're accomplishing something because there's nothing worse than doing a complete run and not having anything to show for it at the end of the day. So yeah, I don't know how many roguelites you've actually really got into. I know you got into Hades 2. You didn't play Hades 1. You didn't, and
I
I'm not
played a
sure
couple hours of
other.
Hades one. I think I played 5 hours of
And
Hades one.
yeah, so you didn't really make it that far. Like the Hades one does.
I've played enough roguelikes to understand how they work. The problem is that the systems that this game puts forward to try to make it more fun actually hinder it, actually prevent progression. Um,
I
It
think it's a matter of play style. So it's not it's there for those who like to play a certain way. Just and that's the thing is I generally lean towards never parrying. That is just the way I play most of the games. 'Cause I hate parrying in any game. And so if I have a choice to dodge, I will 9 out of 10 times always choose to dodge. That's just my personal play style. And I'm pretty sure if you look, you'll find people with different loadouts or like being able to play it different ways. It's just that um for me, I I absolutely hate parrying and I'm generally I'm a little bit more with okay with a shield based gameplay, but I still doesn't matter what the game is. If it's Bloodborne, if it's you know in the case of I'm trying to think the Absalom. I know like the most recent roguelite I played, I always play I always focus on attack. Very rarely do I try to parry or counter. That's just and then uh, that's it's just how I go. I'm not skilled. I don't like the timing. Like when you and I played Stellar Blade, uh, I did the dodge
mm,
way sooner than you did. You did the parry. You got the parry, all the parry trophies or whatever, all the parry stuff
mm,
way before me. And you took the time to learn how to do the parry. On the other hand, did it just to get those, achievements, and that's it, like, no,
yeah.
I didn't really care to do that. So that's just kinda fundamentally how you and I are built different, and how we approach the games. So, I understand being super pissed about it, but at the same time, I'm betting if you look up the way like, a certain build or so, you'll find someone who does the run a different way, and you're like, "Okay, that would work," but at the same time, um, yeah, I'm just kinda curious about it.
I,
I do agree it is misleading when you see, like but I've played a plenty of these type of games where like, "Yeah, here's your new ability, here's your new thing." I'm like, "Okay, cool." It doesn't work for this zone particularly well, or these enemies that you're showing me. Like, so I'm just gonna go ahead and attack my way through, and that's generally how I go,
so
so
so people talk about different weapons being like OP or whatever. So there, I guess there's a little bit of differentiation in that. In my opinion, there's only one gun. Like there is one gun that is truly OP, and it's the auto rifle. It's you don't really like it's auto hit. You can just hold trigger. You can do a second button reload, so like an active reload, so you can get that going faster. Um, the shot like the guns feel good, they just don't work. Like most of the guns like just don't work. Or they might be pretty good, running through the level, but once you get to the boss, you're just like screwed. So I learned pretty early on there was only two guns that I would go for, and since then I'm just like, no, it's really just the auto rifle. The shield, you're supposed to use the shield to absorb certain kinds of bullets and gain energy, and then use that energy as your like power weapon. Um, and yeah, it's like you just don't need to do that. Like you just don't really you don't really need that.
and
And
I understood when you first introduced the game and said how you felt it was a little bit like Doom, and that I realized that's the what you kinda meant, because the Doom had this cycle of, melee shooting, like special or whatever, the insta kill to get the health ammo, like, uh, flow going, and so I kinda realized that's what you meant with the shield, like, oh, yeah, you can kinda get the ammo you need, like, that's the concept is if you got the right flow state, but it doesn't quite work that well as it does in Doom.
yeah, I think that this game would be much better if it was not a roguelike. I mean, I guess that is what Housemarque is making with this series is they're making roguelikes because Returnal is a roguelike, right? So I can see why
Yeah,
they.
Returnal is a roguelite. Housemarque does has been doing, they're best known for their arcade shooters, essentially. Um, so they did, Super Stardust, was one of the early ones. They did, I'm forgetting the PS4, one of the first games on that one, and I'm drawing a complete blank on it now. But it was Resogun.
Okay.
Resogun was the arcade shooter. You know, you literally went left or right and just shot the crap out of things. Alien Nation, I believe, was the other one. So
Okay.
they do a little. They've done all these little arcadey things, and it wasn't until Returnal that they really kind of changed it up to the third person perspective. But then when you realize, oh, it's still kind of the bullet hell, and at that time, it's like, oh, this reminds me of near actually, you know.
Yeah.
uh so
Did.
you're
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, so that's kind of the concept. I'm like, all right, yep, this makes sense in this case. But I'm actually I'm not I've only barely touched Saros, so I'm nowhere near into it enough to talk. So when you're talking about like the later bosses, I'm like, no idea. So that's why
Yeah.
when I get there, I'll come back to my own opinion on that too.
I mean,
Yeah.
like it, like this, like the shield. It's. I just find that the systems that they put in front of you, like it's one thing. It's like, well, obviously you don't go for this gun or you don't go for that gun, but like the things that you cannot escape, like the shield, and then later on, they give you like the parry, like those are things that you always carry with you. Um, for you to not for those to be counterproductive in boss fights and really just in the general game, um, is it's egregious to me. Like it just like when I finally got that, I was like, okay, this is completely infuriating. It's just you. It's not even that like that these systems are neutral. It's that they're actively problematic for going forward. I just can't forgive that. And I mean, but like it's got a good story, it's got good graphics, and it's got good moment to moment gameplay. But man, like it just has I have so much seething hate for this game that I like the only reason that I am going to beat it is just to say fuck this game, just because I'm not going to quit on it. But it's just it's just I guess it's just me because like everybody else seems to be able to get to do this game in 17 to 22 or so hours. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Like I really wanted to. It's not that I wanted to like it. I just kind of assumed that it would be at least an all right game, and just was not expecting it to just be like that. I guess.
All right. Well, we'll see when you now that you know how the game's supposed to be played. And then
Well,
you've had spent 10 hours getting good. You can go ahead and let us
well,
know how well you clean up the rest.
I've just got Ebigon's video up, and just like I went to the next boss, and what like when it started to load up, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna watch his video, and I just watched how the boss worked, and then I was like, okay, and I probably could have knowing what I knew after the fourth boss, I probably could have, I probably would have known how to do it anyway, but just seeing like exactly what he did, I was like, okay, and you just dodge, like it's like you just dodge and keep shooting, you just dodge and keep shooting, and it's not even like hard dodges. They're pretty, I didn't take zero damage, but I had like, a third of my life on still only on one life, and didn't die. So it's not like I took a whole lot of damage. Oh yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I'm curious to see how you like it. But if you can beat those, I mean, like, I would have welcomed an easy mode. I would have put this on easy mode. After a few extra hours, I'd have been like, screw it. I'm just gonna go easy mode, and like once I have to look up like that's kind of the thing. That's like a crossing the Rubicon thing for me, or like a die is cast thing for me. If I have to look up anything about the game, if it's like one puzzle and it's like I'm just too stupid to get this, and I look it up, I don't really count that against the game. I count that against me. But for something like this, when I had to look up just generally how to get through something basic, I was like, okay, yeah, that's a serious lowering of the score. I don't know. It depends on the game and the instance for how much, but whenever I actively have to start doing that, and now I'm just through with it. So I have to. I'm just like looking up stuff as soon as I hit it because I've already spent so much time on it. But I guess I'm getting my money's worth out of a $70 game. You know.
I mean, you do like to put the amount time versus money equation in. So, but yeah, we'll see. Like I said, once again, it might turn itself around for you. Maybe you need to step away from it just for a hot moment. Play another round of mixtape and then realize, and then go back to it. Right. So,
Yeah, I mean this game like yeah, I guess having Pragmata and Mixtape, two good to pretty good games in a row. I guess it was I don't know, and it's a me thing. I just I'm not saying that it is should be everybody's, everyone's score should be a 5, but I'll probably get around to a 6 if I can forgive this game any but right now that's just where I'm at.
yeah, you and I had similar tastes when it came earlier in the year when I forget what game you liked, and I'm like, nope, that game's not good.
Karen?
And, probably that was
Yeah,
probably one of them.
yeah, you did not
Uh,
like Karen.
yeah,
But
Karen was pretty dumb, but I think there was one I disliked more than that, but I can't remember off
no,
the top of my
no,
head.
Karen's pretty
So,
good.
yeah,
1348,
whatever.
the 1348 is probably the
I
other
would
game.
never even have touched it, dude. You touched that one for like the lulz,
I
like for
think
like
I think 1348 I am pretty sure that I will look back more fondly on 1348 ex voto than I will on Saros. And that's a very weird thing to say, but it doesn't commit the sin of wasting too much of your time. I mean, even if you consider the whole game a waste, it's still less time than I've wasted on Saros. So
see.
yeah,
And that was the argument I made about one of the other games is about like that's my big thing is about whether or not it's a time waste. We'll see because once again, I've not seen anyone really talking or being upset about Saros and it not respecting your time. So I'm kind of curious about it.
I
You
mean,
know,
it's
I
I
want to know how
can't.
close you are to the actual end game. So, like I said, maybe next week when you come back, you can let us know if you just finished it and how much more time it took you.
Yeah, I'm
So,
pretty sure that I know I have at least two more bosses. I don't know if that very last boss is like a kind of a 1-2 punch where you just kind of go straight into it or have a small area or whatever. But I'm pretty sure I mean, based on the story, just where the story is and the reveals and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, I'm like right there at the 80% or higher mark. The re- I can never tell because of just people talking on Reddit, but the people on Reddit were referring to a lot of people saying this game is hard, or a lot of people complaining about the difficulty without like a statistical, poll to gauge that. You can't really tell, but I can at least say that I'm not the only one that thinks this game is a little bit on the tough side. Um, and I
yeah, but
played.
that feels like it's Returnal though, because Returnal wasn't easy either. I never finished Returnal myself. Um,
Okay.
though I did not feel like my time with it was a waste. Um, though I did want to try out that multiplayer mode that they had added to it, but I never got around to it. Uh, but yeah, I never finished Returnal. I remember it being hard. I mean, hitting a wall and being like, "Yep, I'm
There,
done."
there,
But I enjoyed my time with it.
in Sorrow's defense, a little bit, some of the reading that I did made me realize that my build was not as optimal through some of those runs as it probably should have been. I was going for like I was going for all benefit and no like there's some of the upgrades you get, the early upgrades you get are low benefits, but that's only benefit. And and then later on they give you ones that are higher benefit, but they also have like a problem with them. Like one of them is like if you'll do less damage if you're not moving while you're shooting. And some of them are like you'll now take fall damage if you vault from too high. And people on Reddit were like, if you try to take only the ones that are good, you won't have enough, and you'll basically you'll basically be like running naked through the game. Like that's you just won't have like enough of the other stuff surrounding surrounding your stats. And so I was like, okay. So that was probably a bit of an issue, but I know that there were several runs that I should have been powerful enough just through brute, just massive brute force to be able to progress to to
Okay.
that level.
Then what did you do wrong?
I'm sorry, what?
Like if you should have brute forced your way through.
As I
Then
said, as I have been saying, I use the systems that they told me to use, that they put in front of me to use.
I mean, their systems are there. But once again, it's just like that's a lot of the games blocking or
It's
like
it's
blocking and
it,
parrying are a system.
here's
I just never choose to use them. So that's why that's how you and I think different. That's all.
yeah, it's I mean, to me the subheading for Saros is if you want to progress, have less fun. Like that's the way I look at it. It's like don't use the systems, just dodge and shoot. Okay, okay. All right, next thing. Okay, next thing. There's like it's yeah. Okay.
All right. All right. Well, like I said, we'll see how you are next week, and we'll see if I make it any further. But right now, I'm still in the middle of Pragmata, so I haven't been able to finish. So once I'm done with that, I'll head back to Saros again. So,
Okay.
all right. All right. On that front, what have you been watching, Nick?
I
Maybe
feel
this
like
will make you happier.
I feel like I've been talking for a while, but just the way it goes. I watched Chainsaw Man movie, the Reze Arc. And so it's been a while since I watched any Chainsaw Man. I mean, obviously I don't think they've come out with any more seasons since the first one. They just had the first one, and then they've been working on this movie. Um, I thought that this was a good place to have a movie. Like I thought they had this well thought out, and they were like, okay, Reze Arc's not that long, and we can give it its due and have it like be a kind of a pure experience and make it really nice and stuff like that because it is a really high point in the manga. Or it's like a really good point in the manga, and so I've been kind of meaning to watch it for a while. It's been a very long time since I read really any Chainsaw Man, but especially that part of the manga. I know that he took a hiatus for a little while, so I think I'm on like chapter like one, like definitely over 100, like a 115, 120, something like that. I forget. It maybe even further than that. But I'll have to get back on that at some point. But so there's a lot of things in this movie where I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that happened, and there's a lot of the things where I was like, I don't remember that happening at all. So there might have been some fluff in there that they put, which I don't really mind. They usually do a pretty good job of doing good filler, I would say, or just kind of filling in the cracks where the manga maybe was trying to rush. But this movie, it looks really good. It does what the manga. It stays pretty faithful to the manga from what I remember. And it's got a lot of nice explosions and a lot of crazy cool fights and stuff like that. And I forget how weird and wild the characters are for Chainsaw Man without just being irritating. They still feel human despite being like angels and devils and demons and super powered samurai with business suits on and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely a good like movie, good popcorn movie. And even if you have not read or watched any other Chainsaw Man, I think as long as you understand that the show is called Chainsaw Man, I think you can probably watch this movie and stand alone and at least have a decent enough time. So yeah, it was pretty good. And I don't know when it came out. It came out what in the past year or so?
It came out last September, so of
Okay.
2025. So
Okay. Not too bad then. Not too long ago. But oh yeah, and that's pretty much all I have to say about that. But I meant to say that while I was grinding on Saros, I was getting really bored because I'd been through the stuff a lot already. And so I fired up my iPad and I watched like the first two seasons. I say watched. I had an eye on and listened to the first two seasons of Ascendance of a Bookworm. Um, and yeah, I didn't want to watch a good anime because I wanted to because I would want to watch a good anime. Ascendance of a Bookworm is like just anime enough to count, but it's pretty much everything you can get from the dialogue. Like they pretty much explain everything that they're doing and what's going on, and they say it probably three times per episode, and then three times again in the next episode, and then they have flashbacks and stuff like that. Um, yeah, that is a that is a very bland one note anime, but also kind of wholesome.
Yeah, but somehow they made up and now they're on season 3,
I don't know
and I
how.
warned you beforehand. I told you not to waste your time on this one because I already had wasted my time on this one, because apparently I hate myself. And so
Well, I didn't want to
that
watch.
is
Like I said, I didn't want to watch something good. Like I didn't want to have something
yeah, but
decent on.
it's not even it's like mediocre at best, and
I don't think so.
that's
I don't even
even
think it's mediocre.
yeah, it's just like I think it's mediocre at best. It's like, without a doubt. It's like it's a bland isekai. It's a bland like anything, and all her common sense goes out. She has no common sense on a lot of fronts. She's like, uh,
she,
yeah, she's not a smart person.
and she's also a genius. That it's like there's some things in this anime where I'm like they don't have paper, and I'm just like I don't I don't believe that. I just don't believe that these people don't have paper and they need like a 7 year old, even like a her original brain being like from a 20-year-old girl to tell them how to make paper. I just that's hard to believe. There's like obviously like she's like people who are like onto her, and they're like I think the guy finally does figure out, or she kind of tells the guy in a way that like where she's from, but it's it's there are some asinine stuff in it where it's just like this is it's like okay well this is an anime I guess.
Yeah, it's just barely. Um,
Yeah, it's
once again, it's
I don't recommend it, you know, I don't recommend it, but yeah.
and but also at the same time, this is the reason why you failed at Saros right here. I
No,
mean,
this was
your
after. This was
you had
after I started
oh
to
okay.
fucking hate Saros.
You had your attention divided by mediocre garbage, and then you're hating you're hating yourself. You're assaulting yourself on multiple fronts. You might as well just been stubbing your toe while you're doing everything else too.
have
Uh,
you seen that meme video of the guy that does like foot training where he like kicks hard objects with his toes? It's horrible to watch, but yes, it felt like that.
yeah, so you're like, I'm gonna watch something not good while distracting myself from a game that I'm not doing great in, and then yes, and then you blame the game.
I hate, I
All
hate
right.
everything.
We'll most definitely have more to say about Saros later, but not much about Bookworm. I'm just gonna say, season 3, I started barely watching that, and I'm like, I forgot everything that happened in season 2. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. There was an adoption going on and some other
Dude,
stuff,
yeah,
and I'm like,
this anime is like obsessed with like adoption. It's like, why does everybody need to get adopted? And she's like, I don't want to be like adopted away from my family. It's like, bitch, you barely know these people. Like you're from another world where you grew up with like a different family, but like these people like you're super attached to. I mean, she's only been in the world for like 2 years. It's like these people, you don't even know these people. But
yeah,
you know, it's just I think it's definitely for it's just for children, and that's like what children would worry about, I guess, is being forcefully
it.
adopted away from their family.
I think it's I well, that's all the high nobility anime stuff like that because it's just like, well, we don't have a heir, so we're just going to adopt from a lesser family. You now take our family name, uh, kind of deal. But in this case, it's like the only funny thing about this whole darn thing is the whole church aspect, and then they do the Gleekle man like running as a prayer icon.
Okay.
So if you've ever been to Osaka, the Gleekle man, the neon sign that lights up,
Hmm.
that is their prayer. Their hands out wide, in a victory like Y shape, or V, and then like their leg like bent up. And it's just like, yeah, that's really dumb. That's what you decided to create as a author, and then you're just gonna roll with that the entire way through. So
Yeah, and
uh,
yeah, the that and the like the fever stuff. I actually found that to be kind of interesting. There's
that's
something
how they
else.
start off with. They start off with that, and then but she's still sickly through the whole damn
Well,
thing.
that's the thing is like
Um,
it's like she's like she has she only gets the fever when it's like convenient, and they kind of say like why she gets the fever like later. Spoilers. I don't want to spoil it for anybody that's just in love with this anime and hasn't watched all of it. But like they kind of, it's like literally there's like one person in the United States and probably the world that is fits in that category, and they're definitely not listening to this podcast. But they kind of explain why she gets the fever, but then it's like, well, but this other thing, and they just kind of keep putting dumb obstacles. But she only gets it whenever the plot needs her to get it. It's whatever.
yeah, okay. As far as some a new anime that's out that's better than mediocre, I guess, and that's Petals of Reincarnation. So this one, I don't know what to think of it yet. I've seen like 3 episodes now, and I'm like, I still don't know what to think of this. Long story short, quick synopsis is main character is not as good as his brother, and he has the I suck syndrome. Essentially, it's he's nowhere. He wants to have a talent. He's not really good at anything in particular. He doesn't excel at anything, and he's a tryhard. He then accidentally discovers a secret society of people who can access their past lives. Um, and of course, he's running into all these uh, people. Like one of them's Musashi, the swordsman. But of course, because it's anime, Musashi's swordsman is now a swordswoman because action figures sell better if it's a girl. And he meets there's a good crew and a bad crew. So you got people like people who reincarnate or who access their past lives who are like serial killers who then go off the rails, Jack the Ripper or whatnot. They had like was that Geen? Ed Gein in there, like or as part of there, they had the Chicago serial killer who I'm forgetting,
Is it
the clown
Gine?
guy. Um But then they mentioned a few others off the they're just kinda name dropping for name dropping's sake, just to kill them off, like, the very next scene.
Mm.
So good guys who access past lives murder bad guys who have past lives. Um, and in order to access your past life, you have to slit your own throat with a special dagger, has tree roots essentially or something like that. Like, alright, this is total normal kind of shonen fodder. I mean, nothing too if you like something like, I don't know, any of those action-oriented ones like Blue Exorcist or that one Momotaro one from last season, which I'm forgetting its name now, uh, it's just very much that. So, but this kid, I think his name's Goemon or something like that, but he has the ability to steal other abilities. So his goal is to then even though he's on the good guy team, he's gonna blatantly steal from he's okay with stealing from his allies, and he just wants to steal abilities and become the strongest person ever because he stole all his abilities. I'm like, all right, that's clearly gonna backfire. But and then his friend psychic, who's Masashi reincarnated, they're like, yeah, well, why aren't you stealing my ability or something like that? And then so like, I'm gonna go ahead and become so tempting that I'm gonna be so good that you're gonna want to steal my ability. And I'm like, that's a rivalry that you just kind of forced fed yourself, but okay. Um, it's asinine. There's no reason for them to be a rival, but whatever. Yeah, it's kind of out there. Those who really connect with their past selves physically change. So there's Newton. Uh, Newton has an apple for a head. Just
Okay.
that's how Schrodinger's cat is a character
Oh,
who is
Newton.
a walking cat person. Um, and yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like I said, it's very shonen. This is a good second screen experience. This is something that's just interesting to watch, enough to watch, and they might have a few action scenes where like, okay, but at the other times it's like I'm just not going to pay attention.
See, that's what
But
would get me is the action scenes like that. Like a sense of a book where like has like no action scenes. Like it's pretty much a glorified PowerPoint. You know, um, but like Petals of Reincarnation might actually have some like stuff where it's like, okay, I don't know who won that fight if I don't like actually like watch it, but yeah.
All right. The glorified PowerPoint. Yeah, you got a point. You got something there. That's for
I
sure.
have a point there.
Yeah.
uh,
So now, as far as what I would say is, if you had to then do this again, go with the what was it the beginning after the end, season one. If you're gonna you burned through 2 seasons of this bookworm, go with what that one I just
I
mentioned because
have more respect. I was going to say too much respect for that, but I probably, if I get, if I need another second screen experience, I was already kind of watching a little bit of that anyway, and I think that's decent enough to not have to, look away from or, or whatever. But yeah, I probably will put that on for a second screen
no,
experience.
season one action is true PowerPoint. Season two actually has animators to it. I can't
Yeah.
say it's necessarily like great, but it's compared to season one, it's leaps and bounds better. But that's not saying much. I mean, I'm enjoying season two so far. I There's not a lot that has really kicked off right now for it, so it's just like, yeah, I'm like, it's just okay.
Okay.
I think season one was a stronger season, so I'm hoping that it picks up later on. I'm only like 4 episodes, I think, into the second season of Beginning After the End. So fingers crossed, because like I said, I kind of was like, oh, it actually got a second season, especially after it fumbled the first one, and I really do hope it does something. I mean, anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of what we've been watching. Still, we're a little busy, but as far as Chainsaw Man, the movie, I had a feeling you were gonna get into that because after you came up for ASIN, there was a lot of Chainsaw Man cosplay, some really good ones too.
Yeah.
Um, so
There
I
were
kind of
actually
figured
some.
spark that
Speaking of
interest.
Reze, there was actually a couple good Rezes. I did see one in particular where I was like, "Wow, you really went all in on that." Like, it's like a bomb head, like a kind of a cartoonish almost version of a bomb for a head, and she had a really good one. But yeah, there were some really good Chainsaw Man himself ones, and a lot of power and a lot of power ones because it's pretty easy and Makima and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, see, Power was like the low budget cosplay, throw a couple horns on and wear a hoodie.
Hey,
But
yeah,
the few Denjis that were there, like there were a couple solid ones, but one was like exceptional. And I mentioned before, one anything you do with a helmet, so long as you put a lot of good effort into that helmet, it kind of can carry almost the entire outfit. But if you have a really good outfit, but your helmet sucks, then everything just automatically tanks.
yeah,
There was and so there was one Denji with like the chainsaw like man head, which was like superb. And there was at least one of the like that I noticed because it had the nice gloss to it and it had a nice coating. Like that is really stellar. Uh, there was even was that a Code Geass that the Lelouch or whatever, his helmet was phenomenal. I mean, he everything else was pretty on point too, but like I just focused on the helmet. I'm like, wow, that like it really does stand out compared to the rest of it. I'm like, yeah, good job on either making it or buying it, but most people make them, and I'm like, that's really talented there. I'm like, I can't get a glossy coat like that. I'd fuck it up for sure. So
I'm not a big fan of Spy Family. I kind of don't even really like it, but there was a Yor Forger that I saw that I really wanted to get a picture of for all the wrong reasons. But just want to shout out that girl. You're doing it right.
there was the Daft Punk duo though. That
Oh
was
yeah,
really good.
dude,
They had
the Bobby Hill. Oh my god, that was like that guy.
you should have gotten your photo with them because that was like destiny calling to you.
I know. I'll see that guy again next year. I'm sure. Yeah,
Anyways, yeah.
that's yeah.
So
I do for
have
next year.
fun.
I do want to get a little bit bolder and get pictures of people's cosplay of ones that I like and stuff like that. I'm gonna try to be a little bit more forward about that next time.
Just go all in. Let's do group cosplay. Let's do it. I
I
mean,
do.
if you're that scared, you could do Ninja Turtles and you just go in full in costume. No
I
one sees your face.
I have an idea. I'm not gonna say what it is, but I have an idea. I've got to look into seeing if it's how easy how easy it would be to do. but I do feel like it'd be easier to get pictures if I in cosplay myself. So I got yeah. Anyway,
All right. Well, you usually get the news for us. So, what do you have for this week?
yeah. There's not too crazy much that was going on, but there's some pretty decent, interesting stuff here. So first up, Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is getting new DLC. This is coming 12 years after the original release of the game. 12? I guess it's because I guess it came out in 2014. I thought it was later than that, but yeah, I guess it was. I remember reading something saying that's been 12 years since the original release of the game and 11 years since the most recent DLC. So this is new DLC called Songs of the Past. They are revising the minimum PC requirements for this game. I'd imagine that they've put a lot of stuff in it, and so you need like a stronger PC than what the original game launched on. Theoretically, so those old requirements no longer hold. I didn't really read too much into what it's actually going to be about or whatever. I feel like all that stuff people can go read that if they want to. Witcher 3 was a game that I did not get into. I played a little bit of. I own it. I'm pretty sure I got it on sale at some point, thinking I was going to play it at some point, and I know I played like maybe an hour of it, but it's one of the big ones that I missed back in the day. And anyway, so I just found it quite interesting that they decided um, to create a new DLC. I'm also kind of like, why though? Why I don't know. Like, aren't you making? I think they're making a Witcher 4. Why not repurpose this and put it in Witcher 4? Strange to me, but that's what's going on.
It's going to be a little easier for them to build off what they already have instead of trying to polish something new. And plus, if it's like with the current story, it's probably something they had like in the works and they just never kind of got it off the ground. It's like we still had it pinned to the board, and then
like Star Fox 2 for the Super Nintendo.
They also probably had the depending on what it is. I know they've had loose stories supposed to be like from way back, the connections to was it Cyberpunk? They were supposed to be
Okay.
like some fun crossover stuff that never happened. So yeah, I'm just hopefully like the fans will be happy. Everyone was kind of disappointed with the way Cyberpunk first rolled out, but now Cyberpunk's widely accepted as being good again. So
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. You know that scene in Inglorious Bastards where Brad Pitt is talking to the Nazi who's like turncoat and sold out the rest of the Nazis, and he's like, "You're probably going to want to take off that coat and that insignia after you get home." And so like he carves like the swastika in the guy's forehead. I feel like that about Cyberpunk, just for all of the horrible stuff that game came out with, just a complete debacle mess, and how long it took for that game to get to a point of reasonable playability.
I
Anyway,
remember playing that game on the PlayStation 4. So
wow.
that was a terrible
Is that what caused
experience.
your house fire?
If only.
Oh God!
A
You
fresh
better knock
start.
on wood, dude. Don't wish that.
I just make sure like my family's not here, and then I
Yeah.
get a fresh whole start. I have insurance. I'm okay.
I,
Um,
I, I don't really mean to equate cyberpunk with the Nazis. Like it's not that bad, but that's just I'm like Brad Pitt. I just can't forgive. I guess.
yeah. Spoken like a true Texan. Can't forgive. Can't forget.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's pretty much right.
All right. What else you got for us?
Okay. So Valve is raising the price of the Steam Deck. And then it restocked and then it sold out again. I don't know where it's at really right now, but those were kind of the news things that I was seeing. So through our vigorous research, we found out that that Valve is not selling the LCD versions of the Steam Deck anymore. They are refurbished ones, and those are staying at the same price. But they're only selling brand new. The OLED versions is, I'm pretty sure, what we figured out. The 512 gigabyte OLED version for the Steam Deck was 549, is now 789. So that's 550 to basically 790. This is all in USD. And then the 1 terabyte OLED went from 649 to now being 949. So basically 650 to 950. So that's a $300. Yep, $300 price jump. Um, and yeah, so and they're still selling out, at least in the near term. So I kind of imagine that that's probably less to do with the price being at the right point, and just the line of people who actually want one at basically any price point has just grown to the point where it will just, this was always going to happen, basically no matter what reason, within reason, what price they would put it at. But yeah, so it's, gaming is getting expensive.
Yeah, I feel like the writing was already on the wall for this one, because considering the fact that everything else has gone up, the Switch 2 is going to go up, in what, September is it?
Yeah.
And it was one of those, like, yeah, with the parts costing what it is, it's inevitable that's going to go up, which is a kind of tragedy because you're not getting anything more from it. It's not like it's an upgraded version. You can at least kind of swallow that pill a little easier if it's like, oh yes, I'm paying way more, but it's because it's the new point 5 edition, so
Yeah, I mean, I believe that we did know, if even if I don't have that memory pulled up in my brain right now, but even if we didn't explicitly know, then we de facto knew, because literally everything else is going up. Sony, Xbox has already gone up a couple times. Switch 2 is about to go up. So we just knew that this was inevitable. I think the overall the like the distance of the increase, the amount of the increase is actually a little surprising for me. I guess if you'd asked me, I probably would have said, maybe 200 for each, but for over 200 for the lower, gigabyte model, and up and 300 for the higher gigabyte model is just that's a lot. That's a really big jump. That's just a huge percentage wise price increase. Whereas, Sony has raised theirs a couple times, but never by quite that much of a percent. At least not all at once. If you count from the beginning, then yeah. But yeah, so it's just where we're gonna be right now. But I think, like, what I take away from this is, like, if you have any inkling of wanting to get a console or any one of these kind of things, the move is to get it sooner rather than later. If you're like, I'm going to get it eventually, you may as well get it now, because you're just going to be paying more for it later. So unless it's literally, you don't want to be paying interest on this on a credit card, which I would understand. As long as it's not that, you actually have some of the means to do it, you may as well do it, sooner rather than later.
um I think you should just go ahead and buy it used now.
Okay, you do that
That's
too.
the better way to do it. I mean, buy it
Just
used
steal it.
now.
I'm just joking.
Uh, but yeah, I honestly, it's like, especially if you're on the fence of something. Uh, for example, I would rather just wait for the Switch 2 LED or OLED version instead of the LCD that they got right now or whatever. So I don't like there's no reason to own the Switch 2 in my opinion, but if they had the OLED version, that makes more sense. And it kind of it's worth a price hike. Probably not what they're going to hike the price to, but it would at least justify it a little bit easier. And as far as the Steam Deck, I mean, at this point, if you wanted a Steam Deck, you'd have probably already got it.
Yeah.
Um, if you need to save money, buy the the refurbished or the ones, the old models, and yeah, that's kind of, I mean, because those systems are pretty old now. It's a weird state of gaming we're in. Also, I remember the game that I was talking about where it was my hate for it was so much more than yours, and you actually kind of liked it, and that's Romeo is a Dead Man.
Oh
Um,
yeah, you did hate that
Because
game.
Karn is the movement was just stupid, but, like, the actual visuals were still good for it, and it was just like, I just didn't have the time, like, to chill and enjoy the vibes of that game, and that was a me thing, but with Romeo's a Dead Man, that was garbage. That was complete trash, and, like, yeah, so, alright, that's where I stood on that game.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so, alright, what's the more news you got for us?
Crafton, remember them? So they're the parent company for the people that make for Unknown Worlds, who make Subnautica and Subnautica 2. And I didn't read through the whole article on this because I'm lazy, but I saw two different articles. One was from Kotaku, which made it seem like it is not a foregone conclusion, but the IGN article made it seem like it was a foregone conclusion that Crafton is going to have to pay out that $250 million because Subnautica 2 has sold so well in early access, which the part of the lawsuit was that they were to be, the I think CEO for Subnautica or for Unknown Worlds was supposed to be reinstated, and he was, and then they had a new timeline to get to the price target or the sales targets that they were looking for. And it seems like I think that was supposed to go out until September. Um, that's just me working off memory. I could be wrong, but so it seems like they are probably going to have to pay that big chunk of change out. Um, and I just mention it because we've been following this story for literally probably half a year or so, and it's slowly unfolded in favor of the Subnautica people.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things that you're looking at it and you're like, well, if you do the math of how much they're going to be making off this, I mean, depending on how many copies, I'm like, well, if each member of the team buys X amount of copies, they would still come out in the black, and they would be at the very least you do it. You'd spend your bonus just to spite the boss and make the statement. But I figured that there was no way they were not going to succeed in this. But also, there was also a lot of fan rallying behind it as well, being like, you know, if you ever wanted to, if you were on the fence or you did like, well, if it's to screw over a big the bosses, then yeah, let's buy this game, let's help them out.
I mean,
So
that's like one of the things where it's like, was this some sort of weird psyop or some sort of weird viral marketing to have literally like a lawsuit to get everyone on the side of Subnautica, get all this free press and like all this, like, let's save the little guy for this game that we knew we were already going to like and go in and buy it. But $250 million is like, I don't know what the finances are, but that sounds like too much for too likely an outcome. Like, I don't know. That's, games make a lot of money, but $250 million is a ton of money. That's a quarter of a billion. I and I think that's why that old Crafton, CEO or whatever he was, president, I forget what he was, why he like tried so hard to basically cheat them out of it, because I don't know if it's really a good thing for Crafton to be able to pay. It's just, but it looks like they're probably going to have to. So yeah,
well, that's the thing is it was a stupid thing that shouldn't have ever been said, but they thought probably from the start that like I'm going to get away with screwing these people over. That's probably the whole goal originally. Like, don't worry, guys, work through the crunch, and if you make these conditions, you're going to get paid out big. That's probably something like that behind the scenes. I'm shitty boss, but don't worry because you're going to get your money in the end. And then while in the background, the steepled fingers, like Mr. Burns style, being like,
yeah.
I have my ways around this, and be like, no, no, you literally looked it up with AI.
Yeah, dude. He didn't think about it enough. Um,
So,
yeah.
all right. Well, I mean, it's like, hey, at least the news is in that sense good for the rest of the team, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So they'll be eating fat and happy. Um, Next up, Dragon Quest 12 Beyond Dreams. So the thing that caught my eye about this story, or the story on this game, is that basically they said in some kind of interview or announcement that development was started from scratch, was like restarted from scratch. This game was first shown in 2021 for the, I think, 35th anniversary of the Dragon Quest series. It was originally going to have a subtitle Flames of Fate, and I apparently have like a darker theme. They've since changed it to Beyond Dreams and give it a bit of a lighter tone. There's no release date yet, but I was just like kind of floored by like, whoa, they're like restarted the game. They like restarted from scratch. I somehow doubt that's entirely true. I'm sure there's a lot of assets that they can use and are is it's pretty hard to believe that they would start completely from scratch, but if they're saying that, then they at the very, very least had to restart way more than they would probably have wanted to. And I was just like, wow, okay, well, I'm not a big Dragon Quest fan. Never played any of the games all the way through, but it's kind of a long running series that's always been adjacent to my interest, so thought I'd mention it.
yeah, so it's kind of interesting because I mean, I'm sorry, when was this game? Do you remember when it was originally announced? Dragon Quest 12,
I think I said 2021, but
which
I
would make
could be wrong.
sense because like I feel like if they depending on when they rework the game, they're like, "Oh, Toriyama's dead. Now we can change the assets enough and not pay out." You know? Like
Okay, yeah,
uh the two main character images that you've seen that they show. I'm not sure how old these images are, but they're like, you know, Dragon Quest has always had Toriyama Dragon Ball S character looks, right? But the ones that you Google and you pop up is this guy who has a sleepy look to his eyes, and he's
yeah.
just like it's like my first Toriyama drawing, like or like somebody like fan made. I'm gonna make a Dragon Ball like character, and then there's like a pink haired girl who also has very sleepy looking eyes, and it's just like they look really odd. It's just like
Was that? I wonder if that was made to make them look more serious or something.
I get it could be more like I'm angry or like pensive, but it just doesn't work really well. I don't know, they just look off and because I don't know, there's just not as they're not cartoony enough for like some of the other Dragon Quest characters.
Yeah.
Uh anyways, I'm curious if they're working for this from the ground up, if they'll actually become better. Fingers crossed, yes. Um but at the same time, it's just like I haven't played a Dragon Quest game in a hot minute. I
Well,
remember
mhm.
whatever one it was for the like seven. Seven was like the last one I really got into. So
Yeah, that they've done some more remakes too of like three, two, and maybe and one or whatever. They
mhm.
confused me whenever they were talking about the remakes for three and two because they were like, "We're remaking them. You need to play three before you play two because of the way that life works and the things that the way they came out back in the day and the story." And I was like, "What?" So, but those games, those remakes did look pretty good, and I was like, "Dang, I kind of be interested to get back into that." But
Yeah,
but
well, they came out with it because three was separate, and then one and two remake was on the same bundle.
that was it.
So
But yeah, but they were like play three first, and I was just like, "What? What?" And but they have an explanation for it.
it's the prequel. I mean, that's all
I
there is
guess
to it.
so. Yeah.
It's the prequel to it. So I mean, which is doesn't matter. You could play them in the original release order if you want to. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
It just fills out the story more. I don't think it does any no one does anything anymore where it comes to, back in the day, you played a game and then you can carry over certain save data to the sequels. If that was something like that, that'd be awesome, but I doubt it's anything like that. And they used to do like, hey, play the demo and then your save file will give you a bonus item or like skin or some sort of tchotchke. And okay, that's awesome, but none of that happens now anymore. So it's kind of a sad state of affairs. Like I remember when they used to reward, for small things, or hey, beat the game, you get a new skin for your character to just play the same game over again. Like that Resident Evil, that was fine, that was fun enough. But also you got the rocket launcher if you beat it fast enough. But now it's like, hey, if you want the new skin, give us some money. I'm like, dang it.
Dang it. Yeah. Yeah. So it's something. I mean, it'll come out of it eventually. I think Square is probably going to use it as an excuse to like they always do, is say, well, this game didn't meet its price targets, and it's like I don't know how it can if you have to literally restart development after 3 or 4 years, 5 years maybe. So yeah.
All right. What else you got for us?
All right, last piece of news, near and dear to our hearts. The studio Remedy, their new CEO, last name Godshon. I looked up how to pronounce it. I am not sure if I'm even pronouncing it right, but Godshon, he did an interview with the game business, and basically he acknowledged skepticism behind his past working at EA, and he also recognized Remedy's one of a kind creativity that needs to be that needs to be protected. And then he wants to help the low selling games that they have find like a wider audience. So like the lower selling games that were critical darlings, like Alan Wake 2, and I forget the other one that they mentioned.
Control.
Okay, I thought it might be Control. I was like, it's got to be Control, but like those games, widely critically acclaimed, sales don't really quite match that. Kind of trying to find a wider audience. Yeah, so I didn't have time to read the whole interview, but those are kind of the high points of it, and I think that's probably like I I want the studios that I like to stay pure, to stay the course, and to make the things that they want to make. Like in the way they want to make them. But just a little bit more than that, I want those studios to continue to exist. And so there are just realities to making games and selling games and making money off of these things. And so I think that this guy being from EA is probably, hopefully, just enough of the right dose of that, money making mentality to be able to keep the studio afloat, make it profitable, but still make the good, weird, unique games that Remedy makes. Yeah, so it's always a little bit concerning, especially when coming from someplace like EA. I kind of wish they could come. I wish they could have got somebody from like, say, Square, or maybe a little bit more beloved publisher or developer. But this is probably fine. I'm rooting for him and for them, but yeah, I am a little bit skeptical at times as well.
Yeah, so I don't know what era this person was in for EA. All I my cynicism and my joking side just goes, all right, market now, 4 years from now, Remedy, worst game company to work for, also microtransaction to all hell. Um, the headline that I remember seeing from um, was it VGC, was the CEO, um, from it talks about, the quote was, the Alan Wake and Controlled should have sold more, and then like another quote was like, and the movie and TV deal will help us do that. And it's like that's the wrong mentality.
Yeah,
In the article, they talk about like just how their deal with Annapurna is going to help the franchise shine. and get a further audience. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. I don't care what you think. Those who like it are who are invested into it are going to probably watch it and like it. Um, there might be some people who come into it like out from the wild, or just come to it, somehow and be like, oh, that's a neat piece of thing. Chances are they're not gamers. Like that's gonna be for like oh, Control or Alan Wake. That's a really cool, weird thing. I like Twin Peaks. I like X Files. This is a fun thing. All right, awesome. But if they were already gamers, they would already know about the franchise probably. So I don't know how this is supposed to broaden and really help. Uh, it's cool that if it's done well, but it's not going to help sales, in my opinion. Uh,
I have a theory that I think someone else has already said this, but I have a theory that like games, when you're talking about sequels, um, they tend to sell based on the actual success, or the like how good people actually thought that the game before it was. So like Al like Alan Wake 3 I think is going to sell much better than Alan Wake 2, and Alan Wake 2 sold what it did because it was so far removed from the first one, and it was kind of like starting over again. I think Control 2 is going to sell a lot better than Control 1. I think it may be those games are actually better. I don't think they really need to be. I don't think they necessarily will be, other than just like technological like upgrades. But I think that those games will probably sell better, and I think that a lot of the credit is going to be given to like the new changes in management and things like that, and the new deals that they're doing. But I I think that whatever happens, that it's going to be based on the success of the previous, like the what people really thought of the previous games.
well, unfortunately, Control 2 is going to be whatever based off of whatever Control Resident like is, and I don't think Control Resident is going to sell gangbusters. I'm looking forward to it, but
I
I
guess that's what I
just think
mean
it's
is like the new control game.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure on that. I think that it might be a harder sell. It might be easier because it looks to be more action oriented, just like a more Devil May Cry, or just more action beat 'em up. So far, that's what it looks like. But at the same time, you're already like neck deep in lore, so that's going to be really a hard icebreaker to get past people. So unless if they dumb it down real quick, or give you a quick previously on, I just don't see it happening. And as far as crossovers go with media and gaming franchises, it usually doesn't pan out well. I mean, if you look at Halo and all the TV stuff they've done, uh, as Halo's progressed, Halo's gotten worse, much worse, and it shouldn't have gotten that bad. There's not a lot of crossover franchises that be like, oh, that actually did gangbusters
Okay.
for said product, other than maybe Cyberpunk, because Cyberpunk was in such a garbage state that when it first came out, that when you had Edge Runner, that was just like, well, this is the best thing of Cyberpunk, that we've gotten so far. Uh,
Okay.
you know,
I think that Control is a good enough world, and it's related well enough to like X Files, or it kind of borrows from like the X Files idea and Men in Black sort of idea well enough, and it's simple enough that it does lend itself pretty well to a TV show where you could have mostly, easy to build sets and still make it look nice, and then have a couple places where you have like monsters and stuff, basically like Fallout. I mean, I could totally see Amazon going for this. So they've kind of set up that partnering with Annapurna. They kind of do some of that stuff as well, and then Remedy has shown that they like to with Alan Wake, that they are trying. Alan Wake 2 is almost as much a movie as it is a game. There's so many like movie, film parts in that game, and that's what makes it so unique and interesting and fun. and weird and just like its own thing. So I feel like it's a bit of a better fit for them than say Halo. Um, I have another theory that, and I don't necessarily think it's true for Remedy. I think it's though I think it might be partially true. Um, with Halo, once Halo was pretty well dead, that's when they started to make the show. Um, and I have a feeling that Nintendo, with some of their original creators, Miyamoto in particular, I think that's his name, right? Um, getting older, that is why they are branching out, and they finally decided to do a Mario movie, and now they're doing a Zelda movie that's going to be coming out. Um, I have a feeling that they are looking to, if not sunset those franchises, then prepare for their potential, like, not being in the zeitgeist anymore. Either because they've run out of ideas, or people have moved on, or both. But that seems to be the thing with those kind of franchises. Is I think we're going to see that, like with games, where once the game kind of has run its course, that's when the TV show movie starts to come out, and then that's sort of the beginning of the end. I don't think Remedy fits into that quite as easily, but it is certainly a possibility.
Yeah. Um, they tried having, well, granted, the Halo franchise stuff, extended universe, it didn't pan out well for the during the Xbox One era. It was a rough spot. But also, if you remember, they tried doing the same thing for Remedy prior to that, doing the same crossover media, and that was with what's the main the sheriff. They used the sheriff in Alan Wake 2. Um,
Right.
you know, I'm
Um,
forgetting the game that he's the
Quanta.
whole
Uh, it's not
Quantum Break.
Quantum Break. Okay, yeah.
Quantum, yeah, yeah, so the Quantum Break, that's like they pulled from that universe, but they had the whole live action, like it didn't do anything for it. In fact, it fell flat in a lot of ways. And so once you can blame it on being Microsoft and their poor execution of it as well. But once again, I am not,
I do
if
think
they're
that we're in a
expecting,
different
I want
time.
the franchise. I want yeah, I think so. But at the same time, like, of course, I personally want the extra filler for the universe. I want the actual media because I'm a nerd and I'm interested in that. But I don't see a correlation between that doing well and their game sales going up for the amount they're about to spend in production value. They are going to be in the red, like all across the board. I can't see it being a financial boon to them.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly could happen. I hope it doesn't, but I think they're in a little bit of a different spot. I do think the partnership with Annapurna is probably a good, overall a good idea, because at least with Annapurna, maybe consulting, they can be like, okay, we have successfully made the kind of things that you're trying to make, and it might mean that the scale gets smaller, so that you can get it out quicker, cheaper, and still sell it for the same price. Or it might mean, something else. I'm not sure of what it would be, but they might be able to lend some help, or at least maybe make some good connections and get in some better markets. But yeah, it's Remedy is near and dear to our hearts. I just wanted to bring up this thing, kind of talk about their future a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to do it, I'm just trying to think. I'm not sure how well Annapurna can do it. I'd hate to say it, but honestly, I think someone like WB would actually do a good control little series, target it for the teen audience, because all the stories and stuff like that, you do a case by case monster of the week kind of thing, or incident of the week, and because a lot of it's based off the SCP Foundation, story lore,
Okay, yeah.
and So that kind of does it for itself. You have, and then you can have weird crossover synergy like from episode to episode, or you have stuff in the background, intercom during the foundation about being like, hey, like new next shift for the fridge watch or something like that, and like those who know, but those who don't like won't think about it, just like, oh, that's a weird thing to say, you
Yeah.
know. um but I think you could have a lot of fun with just making it like a bland office with just weird stuff, and then of course having your action set piece moments, but like you can do it pretty deadpan,
I
and I
mean,
think it'd be really well.
in WB, you don't you kind of mean like CW show?
Yeah, yeah, it's
I
like that's
I,
it,
I feel like
make it
I
make
f-
it for that audience. Like Supernatural, like that crew, that the same people who do like the DC superhero stuff.
I mean,
Like you got that,
not that the
you know.
characters are ugly or anything, but they would have to get. But if it became a CW show, they would get a lot younger and a lot hotter, and they'd have a lot more like scowling sort of looks and swooping hair.
And that would probably do them better. I
I
mean,
mean, you're not
honestly,
wrong. I'm just saying that it would
if you're trying
be
to inject new blood into the series,
it would be a
try to grab people.
shojo. It would be like a. It would be like a like or like a like they would. It would be like a bishojo version of the game, which I don't necessarily think that I would mind if it done right.
I'll take a shojo or a bishojo version of Control. Let's go. Like, there you go, Nick. You make it happen. Sign up the Patreon. Let's get this thing going.
It's like,
Uh,
okay, listen to this. Instead of everything being red, it's pink, and there you go.
and then there's an object of power, and whenever protagonist love interest walks by, flowers bloom everywhere in the background. No one knows why. They just know flowers bloom. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
They're
it's
always there.
anyway. For some reason they all have really big eyes now. It's like, and they all sparkle. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah. Once again, you can have a lot of fun with silly things, but like I said, thinking of Supernatural in particular, but also having they have the history. The CW has the history of all the superhero shows. I'm
right.
like, that kind of actually works really well to something like Control. Um, it'd be watered down, it'd be more mainstream, yes, but at the same time, you want it to be accessible, I guess. And if unless if you're gonna go, if you're not gonna go necessarily like HBO or something like that, where you have massive production value behind it. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I'm just curious. Annapurna, fingers crossed, they do it well. I just really can't see this crossing over to be like, hey, this is going to boost sales all across the board. I mean, you're gonna have DVD, you're gonna have the viewership thing, but I don't think the viewership's gonna cross over necessarily to, for a good percentage to be like, now I'm gonna play the game. I just don't
It
see
does
that.
seem like it might divide. It might be dividing their forces and their resources a little bit too much, but you never know. I mean, if they can get something made cheaply, maybe get like maybe catch a little fire, get a little bit of luck with like a breakout unknown actor or something coming in and kind of stealing a show, then you never know. Stranger things have happened where it's like, okay, this sort of came out of nowhere for most people, but it's it's awesome. I could see it. I could see it being possible. I just hope that they make the right choices, and I mean, I think they're going to stay away from Firebreak type stuff for a while. Um, hopefully, at least,
Well, that's the thing is they just came off Firebreak, which wasn't that hot,
which was a disaster. But yeah,
and then you're looking at as far as you don't want to run into the MCU problem where you have TV shows after TV shows and all this other side story where someone who kind of was into the game but not like, or people they're like, no, now I got to do my homework and fill in all the middle chapters by watching all the shows and TV or movie or whatever, like in order to before I get the next game. That will actually hurt sales in the long run because they're like, nah, that's just too much work.
yeah.
Or nothing else, it'll help YouTube, a synopsis,
Uh,
because someone will do a quick breakdown of, everything you need to know in 5 minutes. Go.
It is a dangerous game to play because you don't want to confuse the audience with like, wait, I like this show, but the season two is based on there's like a whole game. There's like a 20-hour game between season one and season two. Forget this, I'm not doing this, or vice versa with the games. It's just a little bit easier to, I think people who play the games and like them are almost certainly going to watch the show, to a great degree. But it is a dangerous game you start to play, especially when you're not a Halo, when you're not a Zelda, when you're not a Fallout. Um, it's very you've got to have a critical mass that can carry over, and you really have to be about something different. I mean, like that would be the thing is like almost like a Tales from Alan Wake. Not maybe not exactly about Alan Wake, but something around that world or something. I don't know. It's I just hope it works out for him.
For sure. All right. Well, we like to see, despite what we sound like, we actually do like franchises to succeed. Um,
We just don't
just
want it
not
to
like
like go
rob.
belly up.
Yeah, we don't want to go belly up, but we also don't want them to try to rob us blind. So all right then. On that great note, if you guys have made it this far, we appreciate it. This has been another Did Pixel, episode 177. Nick, what are some words of wisdom you have for the people out there today?
Um, you are not allowed to dip double chocolate Oreos, so chocolate filling. You're not allowed to dip that in regular white milk. You actually have to dip that in chocolate milk. If anybody sees you doing that, you will be arrested and prosecuted to the full extent of the law. I'm speaking from experience. So, chocolate filling, chocolate milk. Just remember that.
All right. And just remember next April 1st, leave that bag of Oreos at the work table and just make sure to replace all the filling with toothpaste and watch people freak.
Oh,
And leave a note saying don't touch, and just so that really gets them to steal from you. Okay.
wow. Then yeah, I mean, yeah, they're the ones in the wrong. They get what they deserve.
All right, guys. Once again, this is ADP. Until next time, y'all take it easy.
Bye.